everyone, my name is Luna and I'm here to catch you up on everything that happened in episode 104 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role, The Cradle's Convocation. I'm so sorry that my recaps have been a little delayed, life kind of got in the way.
Life needs things to live.
But my episode 105 recap will be out early next week and then I should be back on a regular schedule, hopefully. Okay, let's get into it. As Bells Hells enters into the sanctuary, the forum continues the discussion about how to deal with the Ruby Vanguard. There are lots of people yelling at each other with different opinions, with a large concern being the possibility of another calamity, that the gods may destroy the Divine Gate and go to war again to deal with Predathos. After lots of back and forth, Keyleth loses patience with all of this arguing.
We've many of our finest who have been out in the field, battling Vanguard powers, gathering intel on their movements, seeking answers in the frozen ruins of Isilcross as of late. Yet our attempts to scramble through Ludinus's long-plotted chaos keeps us on the back foot. Even now we've lost our footholds in the Hellcatch, and many lives along with them, waiting for you all to get your shit together!
Using some water, she forms a vision of the assault in the Hellcatch Valley, which shows that the landscape itself is being raised up somehow to form stone walls and towers, a fortress around the Malleus Key. It's unclear what power is doing this, but it is clear that the Vanguard is behind it. Various faction leaders begin pledging their support for an attack on the Malleus Key and potentially Ruidus itself. Allura reminds the assembly that there are innocent people on Ruidus, and Laudna shares what Bells Hells learned of the different peoples living there. Aurum encourages the forum to become allies with those on Ruidus who are being negatively affected by the Vanguard and also the Weavemind, and Ivaroa, the Bormodo from Ruidus, who was forced to work for Ludinus, takes the floor to share an impassioned plea for her people.
The vast majority of our people only wish to be left alone. Maybe one day walk the golden fields and swim the crystal waters of your world. When out from under the Weavemind subjection, we can be kind, beautiful even.
Bells Hells shares some of what they learned in AR, and the forum adjourns for the day to discuss this new information and will reconvene the next day. As the forum is dispersing, Laudna asks what kind of security is in place, given that this would be the perfect place to assassinate every world leader at once, but Allura assures her there are many measures in place, including the presence of 3 dragons, 1 on the roof and 2 incognito in the chamber. Grog also chimes in, telling them not to worry since he has protected the city in the past, including defeating the Earth Titan in the middle of the city.
Yeah. That thing up there, that big old one? Yeah. I did that.
You did that?
All by yourself?
1v1?
More or less.
I believe him.
He then shows off his Titanstone knuckles, and Fern, intrigued, asks to take a look at them. As he holds them to her face, they begin to glow and heat up as they interact with the shard of a fire titan inside of her, so he pulls them away. He then officially introduces himself to the group.
Grand Poobah the Dying God is that one of the masters of Whitestone. Kind of a big deal. Legendary warrior from Vox Smoking.
Oh, yes.
Grogary Strongjaw.
Grogary Strongjaw. Wow.
Pike appears chastising Grog for drinking before the meeting and introduces herself to Breus and Dorian. Vex also joins the group, asking where FCG is, and Imogen tells her of his sacrifice. Chetney is quite smitten with Vex.
Oh, darling, even if I was single, you couldn't afford me.
Wow.
She's so cool.
And Laudna reveals to her that Delilah is trapped, hopefully permanently.
Oh, I love this.
Vex asks if Laudna can talk to Delilah and make her eat bad foods. Laudna takes a moment to look inward to see if it is possible and sees Delilah chained to a wall, seething with anger. She asks Delilah what her least favourite food is, but Delilah just threatens Laudna, who decides that it will be unseasoned beans for eternity.
I'm still figuring it out.
All I'm saying, darling, is make her hurt. Well, that's lovely.
There's some history.
After the forum meeting, Keyleth escorts them to a place of the Wild Mother, one of the few places she feels comfortable in Vasselheim. After Fern asks her why she's uncomfortable and kind of almost angry here, Keyleth shares that she struggles with the bureaucracy of the temples and that while there are some good people doing good things, there are others who use their power and influence to their own benefit despite the tenets of their faith. They arrive at the Birthheart, a beautiful forest filled with glowing blooms and lanterns and enormous trees, including one giant one at the center, the Birthheart itself. In this sanctuary, Belzhells shares more specific details with Keyleth about what they saw of the gods in Aeor, and they discuss what impact this knowledge could have on the general populace and the heads of the temples. Chetney asks if the gods have directly communicated with the heads of their temples, and Keyleth says that they have communed, but of course the only people who know what was said during that communion are the people who were communed with, the temple leaders themselves. Ashton thinks that it's time for the gods to stop being so vague and that they should be having a direct conversation with them, and other members of the group agree that they're sort of tired of constantly reaching out and getting only sort of vague gestures in response. And then they discuss, is it even possible to talk directly with a god, when Keyleth shares that she actually herself has done it. She speaks mostly about the Matron of Ravens, who she met because someone in her adventuring party was very close to her.
You talking about that feathered one? They got turned into a little marble.
Oh, well,
Just trapped for forever.
Oh, no.
Marble
What?
May.
Sorry.
Don't give...
What? I was just curious.
Ke-
What? Sorry.
Keyleth steps towards you.
It's my character. I can bully her if I want to.
That's valid. The greatest loss I've ever suffered, and the deepest wound I still bear to this day, is because of her. She took from me the most important thing I have and will ever know. So yes, she is complicated, and he is gone. And he is in pain, and he is in that tower, in that bridge. And we will destroy it, and we will stop this.
Yes, we will.
She talks a little about why she and her adventuring group met the gods, explaining that they needed help crafting artifacts to trap the newly ascended god Vecna, and the gods provided materials to help with those artifacts. The group then discussed with her the morality of the gods and what happens after someone dies. Oren remembers with a high history check that the stories say that before the gods arrived, the landscape was a tumultuous one, but it did still contain life. Jungles and deserts and mountains. Before the gods arrived, souls upon their death would be reborn into a new body, and it was the gods who created an afterlife for the souls of their most devout followers once they arrived to Exandria. As they are speaking of all of these facets of the gods, Orem's sword begins to glow, and the vines that grow around it begin to reach out to the giant tree. Orem places the tip of the sword to the tree's trunk, and vines and flowers begin to grow all around him, completely surrounding him. Orem finds himself inside a giant flower, or maybe it's just that he is really small. He looks down at his body and sees that it is made out of green leaves, and as he steps out of the flower bud, he finds himself in a moonlit glade. A golden light fills the glade, and a face emerges from the leaves, a face made of the leaves and flowers and branches. This is the Wild Mother. Orem thanks her for bringing him here and asks if she will talk to him. She doesn't speak, but he does get a sense of appreciation from her and the knowledge that his husband Will is here too. Orem begins to speak of what he knows and Ludinus's plans, and the face disappears as the trees shift to form a path which Orem follows. The forest becomes darker with diseased trees and cursed ivy, and Orem finds a statue of the Wild Mother cracked and fallen. This is a vision of what could come to be if Ludinus succeeds. Orem asks the Wild Mother if she will show him what they are facing, and she shows him a vision of Predathos' arrival to Exandria.
A strange star falling from the sky, crashing into the space. The red light grows bright, flashes once more. As you come back, you see, standing, towering over the landscape, dozens, it seems, almost, family. And two of these figures vanish. The star grows brighter and redder. You feel the fear. You feel the recollection of a fear only felt once before. You see mountains shift and flames plume. You watch as the sea rises. The city, this island, swallowed in stone. You watch as runes and glyphs, the size of a coast, ensnare and jettison it into the cosmos. You hear the screams of those sealed within.
Orem feels Predathos' hunger, the hunger of oblivion, and it's difficult for him to even try and comprehend this. Failing a wisdom save, Orem begins screaming and screaming until the Wild Mother takes him out of the vision and encircles him. Aurum feels that something has changed within him and feels the Wild Mother ask Aurum to protect the gods. She then has one last gift to bestow. He turns and sees his husband Will, also made of green leaves, sitting next to him.
Hold up my hand to clasp. And together the hands erupt in little flowers that spiral down and around our arms. I've got this.
The hands and the flowers themselves, now the roots try and burrow from your hand into his, like they rooted into the forest. But he pulls his hand away and touches your cheek. He will. But I also need you to live. Be happy. Don't live your life in the shadow of mine.
Eventually, everything becomes one.
I'll be here waiting.
I'll see you soon.
Aurum is then returned to the Birthheart. Aurum shares with the group what happened, how he saw a glimpse of Predathos, and how the gods encased it along with an entire civilization of people into a chunk of rock that is now ruinous. As he's telling them this, Chetney sneakily steals some fallen wood from the Birthheart for carving. Aurum removes his blade from the tree trunk and finds it changed.
As you pull the blade free, the blade itself is longer than it was when you placed it within the roots.
Oh, shit!
And as you glance at the hilt and the handle, you can see the vine growth is denser. And there are two golden gems, like two golden eyes, now looking from the front of the blade, like she's guiding its strike.
Matt also explains here that while vestiges are weapons made by the gods in the past, the gods are still able to make new weapons, relics of the Red Solstice, with this sword being the first. Keelah says they can stay in the lodgings inside the Birthheart tree, which has a myriad of halls and rooms, and she escorts them to a large guest chamber before saying goodnight. Chetney takes the new branches that he stole and begins whittling, while the group discuss their next steps. They debate the merits of taking out the Malleus Key, given that they have a secret entrance in the portal under the lake in Isilra, and how it could be used to their advantage. They come up with a few ideas that they decide to present to the council the next day. Aurum then turns his attention to Breus, questioning whether he is a good fit to join them given that they barely know him, and he suggests that Breus cast Zone of Truth so that they can have a frank conversation. Fern, however, wants to play Spin the Bottle, so they kind of come up with a hybrid game, which is where they ask each other questions, and if you don't want to answer the question, then you have to spin the bottle. Dorian asks Breus if he has been happy serving Asmodeus, and he says it has been the greatest honor of his life. He also shares that technically he hasn't met the Lord of the Hells, but he still feels a close connection to him. Aurum asks if he's going to turn on the group, but Breus instead choosing to spin the bottle, which lands on Imogen.
You have permission.
Yeah.
Mainly because I want to know what it's like.
Roll for kiss.
Performance check?
Yeah, okay.
Yes!
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, I rolled. Oh, wait. What kind of a check? Is that charisma?
Performance, yeah.
Performance.
21 over here.
Wow.
Giving it my all. I'm doing all the tricks.
A 13. I'm not as into it.
They surmise that his decision not to answer the questions means that there is a possibility he will turn on them, though he later says he doesn't think he will. Chetney asks Ashton if he agrees with lewdness, and Ashton replies that although he agrees with some of lewdness's ideas, he still thinks lewdness needs to be stopped. Chetney asks Fern if she would conspire with lewdness to save her friends, but she instead spins the bottle, landing on Chetney.
I just go over and I straddle him and just have a big old kiss.
As she kisses him, she steals the sticks he's been carving, although she does give them back later. Dorian asks Laudna if she could kill Imogen if she had to, if Imogen became a vessel for Predathos. Laudna says she would if Imogen asked her to, and then Imogen reassures the group that she would want them to stop her if it came to that. Without being asked a question, Dorian then spins the bottle, which lands, once again, on Chetney.
No! Anything but that!
Chet's lucky. No!
Please! All right, hey, baby. I'm not moving. I'm just saying, you gotta earn these lips.
Oh, if you didn't smell like cedar and chestnut! I'm gonna kiss him. Oh, it's my nightmare.
Performance check on both of you.
Oh, wait, we didn't do it. What'd you get?
26.
Oh!
19.
Oh my God!
Lords are fucking serious.
I'm gonna pull away and I'm gonna say, I fucking knew it.
See?
Throw him back on the bed.
He is royalty.
Laudna then asks Dorian about his brother, Cyrus, and if he is running from and avoiding the processing of his death. Dorian says that he's gotten really good at putting his feelings aside to get on with what he needs to do, and he wants to continue doing that. He admits that the death has affected him, but he just wants to put it aside for now.
But it doesn't mean I don't feel them. It doesn't mean I don't think about them. I'm not shallow or callous or unthinking. There will only be one brother that I've ever had. And none of you can replace him. Nor would I try. He might have been a fool, but he was kind and honorable and honest. And if he were still here right now, he would be with us all.
Abandoning any pretense of following the rules, Laudna spins the bottle and it lands on Orem, and the two share an extremely awkward kiss that they quickly abandon for a hug instead.
Pick up that little droid, give him a kiss.
What are we rolling?
Performance.
Because it's funny. And most everyone's bad at it.
This is hilarious.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is perfect. I have a 3.
I rolled a 2.
With that, the game is over and they all settle down to bed. However, Ashton picks up the bottle and points it directly at Fern. The two go in a corner and with some privacy provided by Imogen sort of psychically holding a sheet up.
How's it going?
I don't know. There's only one real way to find out. And I walk over, grab the back of your head, and just go for it.
Whoa. This is like 30 feet away from us.
Yeah, but I have a blanket.
There was a blanket hiding it.
That hides
I'm
it.
giving
That's
them.
it, for sure.
Now we just see silhouettes.
I just sort of am shocked and surprised. And I'll kiss you back.
I'm pickpocketing you right now.
As the night goes on, Orem watches Dorian, but Dorian is not asleep and instead just stares into the wall. In the morning, they arrive at the Trial Forge for a meeting with Keyleth, Ivaroa, the Bright Queen, Earthbreaker Groon, Kima, Alora, Vexalia, Queen Frunast, Jamon Saord, and Topher Broderust. Ivaroa briefs the group on Predathos' location within the center of the moon in something called the Hallowed Cage. She speaks of the Ruidusborn being created by Predathos to open the cage and let it out. Ivaroa says that the Exandrians may find more allies among the people of Ruidus if they can take out or weaken the Weavemind, as most people are terrified of them and are terrified of punishment or retribution. While they're talking, Chetney accidentally lets slip about the backdoor portal, and the Bright Queen is unimpressed that they've been withholding this information. However, after some talk of trust, the group all agree to keep the portal a secret amongst themselves, and ultimately they decide on a plan to present to the Greater Forum. There will be 3 teams, all striking simultaneously, one on the Bloody Bridge Fortress.
I might know a few old legends who might be up for joining an assault on the fortress. Besides, if it means destroying the Malleus Key, I want to be the one to do it, for many reasons. I'll see if I can pull some friends out of retirement.
One on Ruidus, assaulting the Weavemind.
Allura goes, I think I have an idea. There are few troops in this world who have equally endured otherworldly psychic trauma and stood in the face of the worst manipulators like they have. Just need them to return together in one piece. I may have a strike team to focus on the Weave Mine.
Leaving Bell's Hells to infiltrate the hallowed cage. Before adjourning, the Bright Queen notices the dunamantic power within Ashton's head after they go into a rage to demonstrate it, and she says that she'll have words with him about it later. As they are leaving the Trial Forge, Imogen is taken up in another vision of a red storm, but this time the red storm clears and she is standing in the peaceful fields of her childhood.
Mama. You turn and look, and she's standing in the field behind you, the wind blowing her coat and hair. Imogen. And that's where we're going to finish the episode.
That was an absolutely chockers episode, and I would love to hear your favorite parts in the comments. I imagine the spin the bottle scene was probably quite thrilling for a lot of critters out there. I also have a favor to ask. When I took a break from making recaps, I lost a lot of subscribers, which is totally understandable. But now that I'm back, I would love for those folks to know that I'm back. So if you have any critter friends or are in any critter communities, I would love if you would share these recaps there, you know, if you think folks would enjoy them and find them useful. That would be very helpful and lovely. Thank you. All right, I'll see you in a few days for my episode 105 recap. And then, as I said, I should be back to a regular release schedule. Okay, bye.
It's me. Hi, I'm the dragon, it's me.
Stupid.